What is going on, everybody in the YouTube sphere? Here I am doing a bit of an event review, an official Konami event review. For those who don't know, Konami did an invitational with a lot of more or less of an invitational on day 2. Day 1 is more of an invitational of a bunch of influencers came to this event, and then day 2, which was this event, was people who actually qualified, so people who actually play Duel Links on the regular. These are the people that got invited into this, essentially. And I thought I'd do a little bit of an event review since we did watch it live over at twitch.tv/Duel Links Entertainment. Come check us out if you're not already. Amazing stuff that we have there all the time. What I have behind me is just basically me recasting the tournament. In fact, I'm right there. Look at me. But I just wanted to give my opinions on a few things about the tournament itself, the format, the casting, etc., etc. I know for a given fact that Konami does watch our content. Yes, I have confirmed it on my own. So hopefully, you know, they take a listen into this video and take it as constructive criticism. You know, I gave a little bit on the Twitch stream, but obviously the Twitch stream is going to be more, you know, trying to make everyone laugh and have a good time and have fun, where I can be a little bit more analytical here in this video. So I'm going to start off with the nice things. You know, just, you know, give my due diligence where it is. You know, there are things that improved in this event that I want to go over, but pretty much because right after that I'm going to go straight into all of the criticisms, if you will. I don't want to say negatives because they're not all negatives necessarily. They're just criticisms. First things first, this event actually ran well. You know, for the rules that they set, the event ran at a good time within their own rules. While I have issues with the format, the format that they chose ran well. There was no technical delays. The graphics they used were really, really good, and overall it was just a smooth progress as a tournament. It did go for a long time, but that's just the format that they chose. On top of that, a lot of the ruling issues that I have issues with, a lot of those are going to get fixed as they've already officially changed the format going into like the next set of extravaganzas. So those shouldn't be as much of an issue in the future as they are right now, that I have issues with them right now. So those two are pretty much the only real positive things I've had to say about the event. But, you know, give credit where it's due. That's the positivity I had for them. Next two things I'll talk about the actual official Konami stream and the actual event format. So those are the next two things I'll talk about if you're interested in hearing about that. Starting off with the actual official Konami stream. The official Konami stream had like 200 to 300 viewers the entire stream, and we were sitting at roughly 600 to 700. I think my stream report said we peaked at like 720 some odd viewers during the event, and obviously there's something wrong there when the official stream is getting less views than a third-party community stream. And I really do believe that ultimately comes down to the caster choice that they went with. Now, before I criticize the casters, I do want to go off on record and say that I did unfortunately see some nasty comments in our Twitch channel about said commentators, you know, talking about like their physical appearance and stuff like that, and all that stuff is irrelevant, and honestly, you shouldn't be judging people based on like their physical appearance. Yes, their job's on camera, and you should try to make yourself look presentable, especially in, you know, something like an official capacity tournament, you know. But, you know, at the end of the day, besides like what you wear and how you do your hair and all that stuff, your actual physical appearance, you can't do anything about that, right? Like that's not cool, you know. And you don't know these people. You don't know if you're cool with that. You know, like if you leave a comment and say I have a huge forehead, whatever, dude, I'm not gonna care. But some people might. So basically don't talk shit randomly about people, man. That's not cool. That's not cool. But to criticize the actual casting, which is what we should be looking at, it was really, really, really bad. It was really bad and boring, and for a few reasons. Probably the biggest reason is the casters that they choose, pretty much for every North American event, are just not Duel Links players. that's the big one, right? These guys are not Duel Links players. They are TCG players. At least Billy Brake is. He's the one with the big name and everything. Whenever he shows up on events, I always get the same comments. Billy Brake is like the god of TCG. He's made his name playing TCG. He's so good at TCG. And I have no doubt that he was amazing in TCG, but there is the problem. He is a god at TCG, trading card game, not Duel Links. In fact, his knowledge of Duel Links was severely lacking. It was actually his co-host, Michael, I'm blanking on his last name. I think it was Konami, something like that. I apologize, I butchered it. My apologies. I'm sure we'll see it on screen eventually here in the back. But he had more knowledge than Billy. And even his knowledge was still, considerably lacking, if we're being completely honest. There were just quite a few questionable, calls that both individuals made. Now, I'm sure if you go back through all my tournament VODs, you can find me making weird calls, within the game as well, or misunderstanding how a card worked or something like that. But that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is when you clearly have not played the game enough to see minor things that like a gold, silver, platinum player would understand. Things like Thunder Dragon Duo, unable to swing twice. Things like, trap cards being a direct counter to Harpy Lady. That's not a thing. Things like Elegant Egotist. I had a conversation with someone, I think it was with -1 or PDS on stream, where they were saying, they didn't know that Elegant Egotist could proc off your opponent's monsters when that interaction was first discovered. Yes, but that was you 6-7 months ago when Harpies came out. Now, if you didn't know that, that just shows that you don't play the game, because look at how long Harpies have been in the metagame. Even when they first came out, they were still at least at the fringe of the metagame, and pretty much after they came out, you at least had like 5 months where they were like hardcore meta. And if you don't know that, that just means you don't play Duel Links on the regular, even just in ladder play on the regular. To cast a tournament, you just haven't played it enough. You don't have enough game knowledge, and that's really what I got from those casters specifically. They had a very this is my job approach to the whole thing. It was definitely more like they were contracted by maybe Konami, or were forced to kind of talk about the game in their own way, and I think that was the big issue that I had with their casting style. They were not Duel Links players. That was the big one. Also, it's Michael Konami. Konam? Kind of sounds like Konami. Anyway, and then follow up as a minor thing. I also think they just simply did not pick the right casters or the right style of casters for this event either. So in any commentating position, usually you'll have, there's differences you can have. It's not always the same thing, but usually there's at least 2 casters. One is a play-by-play caster, and one is a color commentator, right? The play-by-play, he's kind of like the hype man. He's getting the crowd going. He's making things interesting for the entertainment purposes. While still having enough knowledge so that he's not like, mistalking over and over and over and over. Where the other guy, the color commentator, is when there's like downtime or needs to be correction in plays or something, they can give you that, that knowledge that comes with the game itself, right? This is what you're supposed to do. This is what matchups typically give you, blah, 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 etc. These 2 individuals seem to be more on the color casting side. Michael was color casting, to his degree, the guy that's right above me right now, to his credit, he actually did know more about Duel Links than from the pair, he knew more about Duel Links and was correcting Billy on a lot of things. For example, I at one point I remember bad aim was activated and Billy wanted, he was trying to target the wrong card, and Michael was like, oh no, you can't do that because of XYZ reason, right? So, to his credit, he should be the color commentator because he definitely has played more Duel Links than the other guy, for sure. But, then it's like, why is Billy there, right? Like, is he also trying to be a color commentator? Because he's definitely not the hype man. He's not bringing the hype to the stream. It's boring, that's just kind of how it is. And it's confusing to me because I know they've worked with creators in the past that have both played Duel Links and can bring the hype. For example, Farfa casted Worlds 2 years ago. I can understand maybe not wanting to work with me or not wanting to work with DK because of cash prize tournaments. That I totally understand. Konami's values don't line up with our values. I get it. I totally get it. Understandable. But why not use the people I have seen you use before, like Farfa, who I know can be a hype man in these situations and be a play-by-play caster and make the stream interesting enough to let people tune in so you're not getting beaten, by third-party streamers. That's just not how things are supposed to work. Just food for thought when it comes to that in terms of the actual presentation of the event itself. When it comes to the actual event, that was also another situation where I had a lot of issues. It was 16 players total, and the event took longer than a battle phase, which usually has 120 to 150 players. There's a little bit of issue there. They decided to go for 4 rounds, 4 players top, which already is, if you know how to do the math behind the formats, that's already guaranteeing that 1 3-1 person, so one person who's lost just once the whole tournament, is not going to top, regardless of what happens. And that is already pretty much like that shouldn't be how things are. I think everyone should have a chance to still play at that point. So there's already a problem with the format there. Best of 5 is what they went with as well, which is, Duel Links isn't back in the day where you go turn to OTK people anymore. There's way too many stall decks and way too many decks that require multiple plays, where best of 5 is just going to go to time almost every single round. There's always going to be and that's pretty much what happened. Every single round pretty much went to time because best of 5 is just ridiculous. There was no deck submission. You could play whatever you want. You could side deck whatever you want. So a lot of times people would just stick to Harpy because they would play Harpy game 1, and then game 2, they're like, is my opponent going to switch? Is my opponent going to stay? I don't know. And then they just get stun locked into Harpies, and then it's just Harpy mirror, Harpy mirror, Harpy mirror, Harpy mirror is what people ended up playing. Not to mention there's not really any good flex picks into Harpy right now, other than what they used was Thunder Dragon, because Thunder Dragon doesn't have to worry about Necro Valley or anything like that, because side decks simply did not exist for those purposes. So it was a weird format. I wasn't a big fan of it. I do know that they're changing it, but the change itself is not that great. They're going to do a 12-card side, which is an insane amount of cards to side deck, especially in a 20-card format. I mean, think about it. 3 Book of Moon, 2 TTH, there's already 5 cards that you'll never replace in a lot of the decks that are currently meta, outside of ones that have hard limits, So it's just one of those things where it's like, damn, dude, like, even this new format doesn't even make much sense in terms of being a competitive format. It's just going to cause a lot of stall. It's going to cause a lot of just unintended things with the game itself. And best of 5 just needs to go. We don't need best of 5 is way too long. I can understand if you want to make the finals best of 5, understandable. But to make the entire event best of 5, oh my god, that is way too long for an event. Also, Swiss Swiss doesn't need to be done for 16 people. I think they could have easily gone with single elimination, even double elimination, if they really wanted to go for it, with a best-of-3 lineup. Would have saved time and still been a very interesting tournament to run. I personally love double elimination, but once you get too many people, that's when it just takes too long. But when you have a small number of people, it actually makes it interesting, because you don't just lose once and you're out of the tournament. You have to lose twice and you're out of the tournament. So it could make, especially in events where you don't have to submit your deck list, I could see those styles of formats just being more, just better to host. So those are my issues with the actual format itself. And that's pretty much it. I mean, closing thoughts. The event itself ran smooth for what they set themselves up for, but I feel like they just set the bar too low. And it's the stream was mediocre, the tournament was way too long, and it didn't really give us any new information about the metagame that we didn't already know before. Harpies are really, really good, and you can run something like Thunder Dragon if they don't run Necro Valley to try and counter it. There's not much to really get to glean from that. I'm hopeful that Konami does more outreach with its content creators. It's just one of those things where all of the big games in the industry right now, in the gaming industry, have good positive relationships with their content creators, because it's back in the day, content creators used to just leech off games and get big, but nowadays it's a two-way system. Content creators make games, you know what I mean? If you look at games like Final Fantasy XIV, for example, they had one of the most massive booms they've had since the game started, and that was all purely from content creators driving players to their game. So it's a two-way street, Konami, so balls in your court. Listen, if you don't want to be, literally getting lapped by third-party duelists, our DMs are open, bro. Next extravaganza, we'll make sure you get over 1,000 viewers. What the? Hit me up, Konami. Till next time, peace out.